G'day, it's Mel Thuris with another episode of Fearless Singer. I actually have a very, very special guest on today's episode. Her name is Bernie, although she just told me a story that her father didn't like it when people called her Bernie. Do you want to tell me that story?
Well, Mel, I've got three brothers, and so he called me Bernadette at birth, and he didn't like anybody calling me Bernie. So one of my little friends rang up. She was about 8 years old, and she wanted to speak to Bernie. And the poor kid, my father said, "We don't have a son called Bernie. We've got John, Paul and Michael, but there's no Bernie here." And she had to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, could I speak to Bernadette, please?" And she was all shaky, the poor little thing.
Oh, what do you prefer, Bernadette or Bernie?
Different people call me different things in different situations. So I get Bern and Bernie and Bernadette, just depending on who. So I really don't mind.
You're just Bernie to me.
Yeah.
In fact, I had to read your last name because by the way, this is Bernadette McKinlay.
Yes.
Because you're like the Madonna of Bernie to me.
Yeah, just Bernie,
Just
Adele,
Bernie.
Madonna.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of meeting Bernie through the studio. So Bernadette came to our Amy Winehouse show. Yeah. That was about 18 months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, less than. It's about 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And she signed up to the Fearless Singer Jazz club.
Yeah.
And now you have lessons.
Yeah.
But I just honestly, I rang Bernie today and was like, can you please just come on my show? Because she's one of the most fascinating human beings that I know. Bernie not only has a beautiful singing voice, and I'm like, you should just be out there doing it and performing. Wow. But she's also a writer. She has a journalist background, and you've had a career in education and training.
Yeah.
But you're just one of the most funniest storytellers. I just love listening to you. And actually something happened to Bernie last week, which I really wanted her to come on and share this story in person. I wouldn't do it justice.
And the thing is, Mel, I've only shared it with my partner and Mel so far. So when she rang me this morning and said, "Do you want to come and tell your story on my podcast?" I thought, "Oh, this will be therapeutic."
But I think we'll get to that story. Let's just talk about your journey when it comes to singing and expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of take everybody through? I guess you had a bit of a turning point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was the motivator just that realization that you've reached an age now where you want to explore your creativity. You've always been creative though, but
I've always been creative, but I haven't really given myself permission to pursue that. So I've always been sensible in having jobs that, I was a teacher for many years and then got into sort of more the business world, but allowing myself the time and really taking my creative side seriously has been a long journey. And I figure I've got a big birthday coming up soon, and I just sort of it's not a crisis, but I just felt like, wow, I'm not getting any younger, and these dreams I've had have been the same since I was in school. I've always loved writing and music. They're the two things that, like literature and music, the two things I'm passionate about, and it hasn't changed. So when am I going to sort of, let myself live the dream,
And what made you, what was the push? What was the push that got you into, just even interested in the jazz club and then...
my partner actually bought me the jazz club as a lessons as a birthday present, which was the most fantastic birthday present because she got me going, and got me into it. And jazz hasn't really been something that I've probably understood very much, and so it's been a whole new learning curve for me, but it's just I've just loved it so much, and giving myself the time to put into it, and the people that I've met like you, Mel, has been fantastic.
I feel the same way about you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And we should mention too that you were in New York for many years, and you've only just come back in the last couple of years. Is that right?
Yeah, came back with the pandemic. So March 2020, I'd been there for 12 years, and we just decided that it was at the really scary time in the States, and everything was just starting to go pear-shaped, and we just thought we need to get out of here and go back to Australia where it was safer. And we were planning on coming home anyway, but it feels really nice to be home. And then I think that, just probably choosing not to get into a big high-powered job again has given me the freedom to pursue some of my dreams.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, because there's a real, it is like a bit of a crossroad when we, especially if we've been overseas.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to me. I was 27 when I got back from the UK, and I was like, I could go and get another corporate communications job, or I could just do the really super scary thing and go and audition for music university to do a degree.
Wow.
And and there's that feeling of, but I won't have any money, because I was terrible with my money. I had no savings. And I was like,
it takes courage, doesn't it?
It does take courage.
Yeah. To really, you can say, in another life I would have loved to have done this, but the hard thing is to actually make it happen, Yeah.
And that would have been tempting, because there would have been opportunities, to get back into, the previous roles that you had.
And it's funny, because I'd look at jobs and think, they'd say that LinkedIn or somewhere would send me, jobs that fitted my resume, and I'd read them and go, I could probably do that. And then they'd say, are you highly motivated, want to make a change, want to turn this business around? And I'd have to say to myself, no.
No.
Is this what you really want to do? Then apply here. And I'm thinking, no, I don't really want to do that.
The same thing. I would read Seek ads, for corporate communications, and with the most waffly, and it's like, and they would literally make my whole body just, I don't know, like, I'd feel like a wilted flower. Like, I'd just dry up.
Sap the energy out of you.
Yeah, like, and I was like, "Oh, is that what you want?"
Right.
Because that was my job, was always reading waffly language that just, and then making it, straightforward. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I have the mental energy for that anymore.
And I've had jobs writing that waffly language, so I know what you mean.
Oh, yeah, high performance culture. Like,
that's right.
No, that feels like exercise.
That's right. Ooh, yuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think when our body gets in on the action of, like, it literally feels like it's dead when you read a job application, or a job ad.
Absolutely. And then the opposite is also true, like just starting to sing again, and, joining up for some writing courses online, like your heart just sings, and you think, wow, why do I feel so happy? And it's because you're doing what your heart wants to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I guess, I think a lot of people get put off by learning, that it feels a bit sticky and hard. Yeah. But I don't know. I think finding communities or, courses like Jazz Music Institute offer really great night classes, but finding places with a good vibe, which is about like community and connection. And I think with the Fearless Singer Jazz Club, that was really about
definitely
the posse, the group. And I've, we've had one male singer, Brad, who's one of my students in the group. But apart from him, it's been mostly women.
Yeah.
It's been like this fabulous like women's circle.
Yeah. And it is so supportive, and that is what you need to find, because, I think at any age, but as you get older too, you can get a bit fearful of trying something. You make a fool of yourself, or, at any age, it doesn't matter what age you are. But when you've got a safe group around you and they're all kind of supporting you, and even if you don't do something perfectly, they're still pointing out what you did do well, it's really room to grow. Yeah.
And do you give yourself permission to learn at your own pace, like with everything that you do? Are you one of these, or do you feel like do you put pressure on yourself?
I've always put pressure on myself, but I'm trying to be a little bit different and be aware of that. I've been a bit of a type A person all my life, and, right, get this done, have a list of things to do and crack through them and be disappointed if you don't. And But
I think that's really a generational Australian thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can't be seen to be lazy.
No,
You can't be just like chilling out, watching TV.
No.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's right. Get up, do something.
Wash some dishes.
Yeah, that's right. Make yourself useful.
Why did I sound like both of my parents simultaneously just then?
Yeah, it's easy to channel them.
Yeah, I love them both so much though. Yeah. But that's what they were brought up
Yeah.
in just that work culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My mother used to tell me how she'd be lying down having a little nap, and when she heard her father come home, she'd jump up and pretend that she wasn't lying down because he'd tell her she was lazy or something. So that
Yeah.
whole thing of not even being able to rest,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's crazy, isn't
Yeah,
it, when
it
we
is.
think about it?
Yeah.
And now too, we live in, and not to, underplay what culture and society was like in the past. Obviously, your mother's father was a byproduct of the Depression
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
World War II and
Yeah.
all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But we've now even like it's so complex. Like we're navigating such a complex society, and with the same kind of expectations to work
Yes.
and to and we do that to live,
Yeah.
and we need the naps.
We
what
do.
I'm trying to say
We
is
do.
we need the rest, and we need to not put that kind of intense pressure on ourselves, and whatever the skills that we want to develop actually allow time and space
That's
for it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being patient with ourselves and enjoying the process, rather than,
That's it.
I've always been very goal directed rather than enjoying the journey, as they say. And I'm learning to do that more too.
Just scooting back to New York, was there like a kind of a feeling that when you'd get there, you would do something more in the realm of your creativity and your singing and performing? Was there ever a thing in the back of your mind?
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd sort of be discovered and put on Broadway, although I did go to Ellen's Diner a few times, and that's where all the Broadway wannabes get up and sing. It's a burger bar. It's fantastic. And all these very talented waiters all have a, session where they jump up on the table and run around singing all the Broadway tunes. But yeah, for me, I definitely thought I would do some writing while I was there, and I did do some courses at Gotham Writers, which were fantastic, and also the singing. I joined a choir called the Gotham Rock Choir, and that was really fun. I probably never really thought that I would. I wanted to go to shows and see enjoy the music more than thinking I had a hope of performing. But one night after a few drinks, I did go past a karaoke. Well, it wasn't a karaoke; it was a piano bar, and people were invited to get up and sing. And we bunch of us dropped in, and they're going, "She can sing," pointing at me. And I had enough Dutch courage to get up and actually perform a song. And that felt really good, Like I thought, wow, I'm in New York and, Manhattan, and I'm singing at a piano bar.
What did you sing?
What did I sing? Probably an Adele song. Probably one of my go-to songs. I can't quite remember. But yeah, it was probably... It was probably Turning Tables.
Oh, I love that song so much. And you sing it so beautifully.
Oh, I love that song too. It's a bit of my go-to,
Yeah.
People say get up and sing something. I know all the words to it. So
your voice reminds me of, because I grew up with quite an eclectic mix of music always being played. Cause my mum loved music, but my dad was just an aficionado of all genres.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up with Michael Flatley.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and you know how, is it,
Yeah.
what is it called? River Dance?
River Dance, yeah.
River Dance. So I used to watch that on repeat.
Oh, yeah.
And because I loved all the Irish singers.
Yes,
And
yeah.
you remind me of
Oh,
them.
wow,
Yeah, and
wow.
when you sing Turning Tables, it's
Yeah.
like I'm watching, a seasoned professional
Oh, wow.
Irish singer doing
Oh, my
that.
God, that's-
Honestly, no, but
oh.
it's true.
Yeah.
Like you bring so much, and of course Adele brings all that depth,
Yeah, yeah.
and she wrote that when she was really young.
Yes.
But you bring like just a really, a
Oh, wow.
powerful depth to
thanks,
it
Mel.
of experience.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
the
all those-
Irish thing must be my Irish heritage,
I feel like there's such a Celtic,
Yeah.
pulse,
It's interesting
feeding
with the
through.
writing and the
Yeah.
music. It's kind of, that's very Irish culture, isn't it? You think of all the Irish authors and singers, that's there.
Have you ever done any research on the Irish?
Yeah, I have actually, yeah. And some other members of my family have too, to see where we came from. And both sides of my family have got big, strong, Irish kind of roots.
Yeah.
And, I feel like, and when I went to Ireland for the first time, and my mother said the same thing, it felt like coming home. It was really weird. I haven't felt like that anywhere else. Just I felt an affinity with the place.
Did you also have family from Ireland that travelled to America?
Yes, most of them came to Australia, but there are some kind of kangaroo cousins in the States as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I feel like we're almost, our DNA means that we kind of reenact a lot of stuff from our past, our family, which is a bit but like I can see so many similarities, like with stories that you hear from your great grandparents. I've never been good at in a position where I'm working for other people.
Right, yeah.
And yet I've got on both sides of my family the shepherds and the Lutherises, so the Greeks and the farmers.
Yes.
We've never worked for people.
No,
there's just such a like years and years, generations of business people.
Yeah.
And it's like it just makes so much sense that my brother and I are just like, well, the 9 to 5 doesn't really suit us. I mean, we'll quite happily go and work 72 hours a week.
That's right, as long as it's for yourselves. Yeah.
That's it.
But that's interesting too, because you've been modelled how to have the courage to do that, whereas I think my family, probably because of the, historic DNA, took a more, what felt like a safer sort of option. You get a job and you get paid for it every week, and to be your own boss is a bit sort of insecure or scary or something. So
but
having
the
courage.
The fact that you went to, which would have taken a lot of courage, like you uprooted your life here in Australia and moved to New York. So that took a lot of courage.
It did.
And, so you have that in your DNA of your family travelling to Australia, to America.
That's very true, And my brothers, I know, think I'm very brave for what I've done. And it's funny, I don't really see myself as brave, but and I did have a good friend who went ahead of me all the way, and he was often my boss in different jobs. We used to teach together, and then he's the one that got me to, he left teaching first and got a job, and then he got me a job in the same publishing company, and then, I hadn't heard from him for years, and then he suddenly rang me out of the blue, and I just finished up my previous job and was wondering what I was going to do next. And he rang me and he said he was in New York and he had a job that he thought I'd be perfect for. So that's how I ended up going to New York. So, it was scary, but it was also knowing that good friend went ahead of me, made it a little easier. But
that's the story of my family too. There were members that went out earlier and, built the foundations, the connections, and then the rest of the family followed. It's
those first ones that are brave, I think, too. Really brave.
I mean, in saying that, your family probably escaped the Irish famine, and mine were escaping, persecution. Religious persecution, actually, because they were Christians living in a Muslim country.
Right.
So they were the Asia Minor Greeks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, brave, or is it just like escaping the...
It's the burning building,
The burning building. Absolutely brave. But
but
forced
no
into
choice.
It.
For sure.
Yeah. Interesting. And just also now scooting back.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing your big birthday, the number?
Oh, yes. So I'm about to turn 60. And
you wouldn't be able, if you saw her, not that 60 is it's not particularly old, but, you have a youthfulness about you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I've never minded any other birthdays, and I'm sort of okay about this one, but it just seems a little bit more confronting than some of the earlier birthdays. For some reason, I have a little bit of a, oh my God, it's now or never kind of feeling about life, and I suppose as you get older, you watch some friends, getting ill and it's all a bit depressing, but you sort of are more aware that you're not here forever, and that if you want to achieve your dreams, you really need to seize the day.
And your jeans.
If you want to fit into your jeans.
No, you just get bigger jeans. As well, you get bigger dreams.
Yeah, that's
right. That's beautiful. knew that jeans could be a metaphor for
That's
life.
right. Yeah. So it's interesting because at this time of my life I am I've been pretty happy to think, right, I'm going to do all those things I've been passionate about and just jump in, boots and all. And it's been going really well, mostly.
Yeah. It has been going really well.
Yeah.
I admire you so greatly because I just think you have one of the most beautiful voices.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And you're also... Sorry, this has turned into let's blow smoke up Bernie's ass session.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Okay. Tell me more. No, but it's true. When you sing, it's not only do you have this incredible instrument, but you have this depth. You have a natural storytelling ability, which I think those two things together make someone super entertaining.
Oh wow, thank
to
you.
watch and listen.
Yeah.
To and I seek people like that out and I go to their shows because and I support and follow lots of incredible singer-songwriters who are so vulnerable and share their story.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
I find it so inspiring.
Yeah.
The first person that comes to our mind isn't a jazz singer. She has a jazz background. Sam Buckingham in Byron Bay. If anyone, wants to check her out. I love artists with also a huge social justice.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Bone as well, which I feel like you have as well. You've
Definitely.
got
And
that
to let that come across in your performance is
brave.
like revealing who you are
Yeah.
is really important.
But also
and brave.
because you can polarize.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I was at a show at Fem Jazz, so I've just put on, so I'm talking to you, Bernie, but I'm also talking to everyone else. So it feels a bit weird. But yeah, so I just put on that big, all-female cast show, Fem Jazz, and I did acknowledgement of country. And then I did an acknowledgement of jazz being the music belonging to Black American people.
Sure.
And we're, as white people, so... we humbly privileged, we're in a position that, we just need to, what I was trying to get across is that we always need to come back to this point.
Yes.
And make it very clear.
Yeah.
And at every gig, say, this is the music that belongs to Black American people.
That's right.
And we're just lucky,
Yeah.
that we can sing it.
Yes. Totally.
Or play it or interpret it as, as individuals.
Yes.
And I don't know where she came from. Holy shit. It's like, how did you come to this gig?
So somebody in the audience came
Someone
up?
in the audience, it's like a super secular gig in a bar in West End, of all places, came up and said that, I'm sick of this demonizing of white culture.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we need to also acknowledge the white Methodists who enabled the Black Americans. And I honestly...
Oh, my God.
I literally... in that moment, it was an opportunity to tell someone to fuck off, which I really should have. I was so freaking...
Why are you here?
And this is, again, my privilege of being white. I was just so tired and I was a shell of a human. That the best thing I could do was like a Prince puff, I just kind of went...
and just disappeared.
I disappeared.
Maybe that was the best thing.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it. But you are, when you put your politics out there...
Yeah.
Like
you're going to upset some people.
You're going to upset people.
Yeah.
I'm okay to upset white supremacists, though.
Yes, absolutely.
They can go fuck themselves. But, that's... one of those things, the extreme of us putting ourselves
and
out
it's
there.
a very challenging thing too if you're performing. We've all probably been in conversations at times with people and they start to communicate ideas that are completely the opposite to what you believe in, and then you've got a choice whether to challenge them or just to sort of change the subject or move away. But it must have been difficult when it was part of your performance that
Oh, look, but it was a lost opportunity, and I think it's like when you do the next time.
Yes.
This is what I'm going to say. But I really would. I have no idea what in my marketing inspired that kind of person to come to my gig. I had like psychedelic colours, like in the branding. So I'm wondering whether she thought that was like Heaven, or maybe Hillsong have used the same Canva template or something. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. That would have been good to say to her. So how did you get here?
Yeah,
Like,
what made you? I think that's what I should have said.
Oh, it's so interesting you're here.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
That's right. Oh, no, the White Methodist concert is down the... You've gone to the wrong building.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 doors down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway. Oh, God.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've just sidetracked.
No, it's always interesting talking about.
Yeah, no, but, talking about the big 6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, realising that, time is of the essence.
Yes.
However, there's also the spiritual perspective on that is always there is plenty of time.
Yeah.
However, if that motivates you, bloody use it.
And it does, because these are things I've wanted to do. There's some things I've wanted to do all my life, and we sort of talked about the singing and the ever since I was at school, ever since I was a little kid, my dad used to sing all the time, and we'd sing together. And my older brother, before he could speak, he was singing Puff the Magic Dragon. He couldn't even speak yet, so it's been a big part of the life. And then the riding, is a big deal. And then the other thing is, I've always wanted to ride a little, like a Vespa. I've had the Vespa key rings and, followed them and thought one day I'm going to ride a Vespa. And like when you're turning 60, it's probably time, if you're really going to do this, it's time to get on the bike. So, yes, I was telling Mel I was confessing my bike story. So I actually made the dream come true, and my partner's very supportive. Yeah, go for it, you can do it. And so I didn't actually get a Vespa, but I got an electric scooter. It's actually classed as a motorbike, and it's called a Fonz, Fonzie,
like
and the Fonz Arthur, and it's an electric version of the Vespa. So I went off for my learner's license, which was extraordinarily traumatic. I was telling Mal, I think, sometimes we do more therapy than singing sometimes, which is fantastic. But, so I went for the pre-learner's test, and you've got to learn on a full-on bloody motorbike with the gears and everything, and, shot off and and put the throttle on, opened the throttle, as they say, and took off across the bitumen and immediately sort of dropped the bike and had the instructor running out, and I freaked out the other ones in the class because that was their worst nightmare, that they were going to do that too. So, I got through that eventually, but it was like, and I was thinking at the end of it, what am I doing? I can't do this. Why was I thinking that this was something I could do? I need to let this dream go. I'm crazy.
This is all happening while you're on the bike. While some guy instructor was yelling at you.
Yeah. So there were 2 full days, and it was exhausting. And the first instructor was good, but the second one was just yelling at me, going, Bernie, put your head up. And I'm thinking, I can't put my head up. I've got to see what my feet are doing. So, I fell off that one too, day 2, and then did manage, there were only 4 people in the class, and he said at the end of it, well, everybody's passed. And then he looked at me and he goes, some of you just. So I kind of scraped through with the learners. And then you're supposed to go away and practice with some of your friends who are motorbike riders. And I don't have any friends who are motorbike riders, which also made me think, what am I doing? So anyway, the bike got delivered to my place, and I was terrified of it, terrified I'd do the same thing. And it doesn't have gears, thank God. But I was telling Mel how I was, thought I would just be brave and take it for a little very slow test drive around my basement garage in the apartment block I live in. And that's a story about courage and...
And this was like to surprise your partner.
When
she got back from New York.
Who was back in New York, and I sort of just wanted to show her that I could actually ride it. So I thought, well, I'll just get it out. Like each day I'd do something with it. I'd sit on it and not turn it on. Then I turned it on, just building myself up to it. I'm such a dork. And then, about day 3, I thought, all right, well, I'll just turn it on and I'll just go for a little toddle around the garage. So I was actually going really well, and I got my feet up and everything, and I was going, oh, this is good. And then the automatic door opened. So I thought, oh, I'll just go out here into the next section of the garage. So I went out into the next section, and I was doing okay, toddling along. But then I got to a point where I had to turn the bike around. and also I could hear a car starting up and somebody wanted to get out and I was in the way. So I did this massive panic and I was trying to turn the bike around, but of course the throttle is on the handlebar and I'm only used to riding a push bike. And so I opened the throttle and the bike just took off across the garage and it was almost airborne and it's like I'm hanging onto the handlebars, so it's dragging me with it and I'm just like crashed on the ground. It crashed on the ground. And we're both lying there in shock. And the guy who was in the car, this young guy, came and stopped. Oh, my God, are you okay? I heard the noise. And I was just lying there, just dying of shame and also just so upset. My brand new shiny bike, I'd scratched it all over and crashed it. Crashed and burned, I did. And just kind of he helped me pick it up and park it. And I just sort of thanked him and crawled away and just went through mental hell for the next probably at least 12 hours. Just thinking, am I allowed to say dickhead? Just thinking what a moron I was.
Oh, no, you said
I can
something
say
else.
dickhead.
I just swore before.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, you are a fucking dickhead. What are you thinking that you could do this? How old are you? And you're trying to do this now? You know, this is time to know that your dreams are past. You've missed the boat, you idiot. So I went upstairs telling myself that and pulled out a new bottle of Glenfiddich scotch from the back of the cupboard and cracked it open, sat down, slugged a few scotches down, all the while berating myself and just thinking, right, this is ridiculous. And not only then did I have crashing down of that dream, the Vespa dream, but then I thought, and singing, you think you can sing. You've left it so late, you know, you're too old to be singing. You should have done that when you left school and you just need to let all your dreams go. Like, talk about drama queen. My mother used to call me Bette Davis, you know, because I do overreact sometimes, but I just had this massive all-encompassing meltdown. And yeah.
And you came here and you told me this whole story and you're going, oh, such a fucking idiot. And right at the end I was like, yeah, you are. You're a fucking idiot. But you're great.
You were so funny because like people go, no, you're not a dickhead. You need to just get back on the bike. But Mel sits down and she goes, well, just need to say something to you. She came and sat down next to me. She goes, you probably are a dickhead. And it was like the best thing that she could have said because she said, and, you know, we all are sometimes and that's actually okay.
But also too, it's like, oh, goodness me. I was telling you about the self-sabotage thing around like, especially when you, like I told Bertie my story about when I first got my brand new car and I've had about 3 or 4 scrapes when I realised there is an underlying belief that I do not deserve this car and I keep scraping the bloody thing. Yeah. So I'm going to just now, you know, convince myself that it's safe to own this brand new thing and it's okay. And then since then, touch wood, I haven't been, you know, scratching my car. And I just really, also, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And it is the beliefs that you have. Like, you know, and for me, it's probably about, you know, well, you won't be able to do this, you know. The little voice going, you're so unco, you know.
But the whole story that you told from start to finish was just so, oh, my God, it was so entertaining. Like that, and this is not to make light of anybody's traumas because, you know, we've you know, all experienced some pretty horrific things. However, there's also a real opportunity to actually transmute it into some kind of creative statement.
Yes.
And I said to you, you're a fucking idiot. Yes. But a talented, charismatic storyteller, you are too. And you could turn this into a one-woman show.
Yeah,
so
I
anyway,
think I might.
This is turned into a promo for Bernie's one-woman show. It's just called Bernie.
Yeah. Bernie. My cousin says to me I should be doing Bernie the musical.
Yeah, Bernie the musical. And this is the thing, like, you know, and obviously we know of a lot of different singers, songwriters, playwrights, novelists that have, you know, turned their traumatic, you know, past life stories into something really beautiful.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the thing. I don't know, like with me, something traumatic will happen and I know that down the track it's going to be a funny story, but I have to check in with myself. So when I was sitting up having my, sculling my scotch on the rocks, my Glenfiddich on the rocks, I was thinking, is it funny yet? No, it's not funny yet. And then I actually took myself up to the Montague Hotel for dinner because there was no way I was going to cook and, you know, sat there and ate something with my head in my hands and I'm saying to myself, is it funny yet? a little bit, but not really. And then it wasn't until I think I was telling Mel that even though I was sort of still traumatised because she's the first person I told, and I was thinking, I'm not telling anybody, it's so embarrassing. And I said, I have to tell Mel. And then I started to kind of like just telling the story out loud, it started to get funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was the funniest thing.
And
I've
that's
ever
very
heard.
funny.
Yeah. And it's all, and the thing is, it always works out. You know,
It does.
I love when you like the same thing, taking my car to the same bloody crash repair guy. And he's like, shit, love.
You're back again.
What happened this time, mate? You know?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
like it's just you just attract these really empathetic, beautiful
do,
people.
you do.
Like, you know, that beautiful
Yeah.
big buffy. I shouldn't say buffy, sorry. Sorry if he's listening. Not buffy, you're beautiful.
Yeah, this gorgeous guy that
Yeah.
was the mechanic that works the shop where you buy the bikes, and he's just this Harley Davidson rider, and he actually makes Harley Davidson. So he sells these little electric scooters, so and builds them, you know. And he was just so lovely to me. Like I texted him and I said, because he delivered it to me, and then 3 days later I've crashed it, and I said, "Oh hi Paul, it's Bernie here. I've crashed the bike. Yes, already. Could you come and take a look at it?" And he was just so lovely. Like as you were saying, he said, "Oh, it happens to the best of us. I hope you're okay." And then when he came and looked at it, he said, "Oh, it's not too bad, really. Yeah, we can fix that and we can fix that, and you know, it happens to everybody."
And this is another really beautiful message. You've just taught yourself that no matter what happens, like whether it's an accidents, failure, there's always a loving, supportive group around you. There's always angels that manifest in the form of the burly, motorbike guy, or your crazy singing teacher, or do you know what I mean? Like
that's so
you
true.
always have this supportive group around you, and that's how I feel. You know, and why I made that decision to go full fearless singer. Yeah. You know, like move away from the safe job, which by the way isn't safe in education. There's no safe job.
No,
it's such
not.
an illusion. But move away from that and go into this, because I just know I've got this really beautiful, supportive group of people around me that no matter what, and if I fuck up, there's always going to be people to go, there, you idiot.
But you create that too. Like
You
I think you put out, like you put out a lot of that too, so that people feel supported by you, you know, and so you get that back, you know. It's really lovely.
I'm going to have to wrap this up, and even though I could like literally talk to you all day, but I have a student coming at 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, it's time.
Quick, scull your coffee, Bernie.
Okay, I'm running out the door now. Thanks, Mel. Bye.
No, but I reckon just finish on like, I don't like that advice to your younger self, because I reckon time is kind of irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? It's like advice to yourself, like rather than what would you tell your younger self. It's like your younger self lives within you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you are you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. This compartmentalizing. I know we go through different stages of life, but
it's still you.
They still exist within us.
That's
They're
right.
still there.
Yeah.
So what would you tell yourself right now? What's your advice to yourself? And then it kind of will be advice to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say just go for it. Like live your dreams, and don't put so many obstacles in your own way that you're not game to do what you want to do, because it just makes you so happy to be living the life you're meant to be living, for a cliche.
Yeah. That's it. And and you can do it. It doesn't matter what is happening in your reality right now.
Yeah.
You can be bogged down in a job that you don't like, or in a relationship you don't like, or whatever. There could be stuff that you don't like about your life, but you can find the pockets and like find the time to just do those little tiny things that bring that joy.
That's right.
And
and I think that's really good too. It's just it's the pockets. Like it doesn't have to be throw everything out and make it really scary for yourself. You can just do a little bit at a time, and find get that singing lesson, or get up and sing somewhere, or whatever it is that do the first scary thing. And
this idea of sticking at stuff, like get rid of that as well.
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
just do the things that make you happy.
I've stuck it so much in my life, and now I look back and I really actually think, why did I do that? That was misery.
Yeah, I know.
You think you're being responsible or something, and don't throw in the towel.
We've always been told that you have to, if you start something, you got to finish it.
That's right.
It's like, no, get rid of that. If something doesn't feel good anymore,
don't
move
do it.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that can be with singing, that could be with dancing, anything, And then you go through stages. There might be a cycle, like you're in the cycle of singing and creating.
Yeah.
You might be in more of a cycle of resting and, you know,
Yeah.
or a cycle of, shit, I've got a project and I've got to really, you know, got to
get in and do it.
it.
Yeah.
So I think just honouring where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I just bloody moved in on your advice and started. Sorry, Bertie.
Excellent.
Bloody hell.
No, that's good. That's all good.
Anyway, I hope you all. Of course you will. I hope. Oh my God, I'm sure you have all enjoyed Bernie as much as I enjoy. Talking to you and
And if you want to ride a motorbike at a later stage in life and you're not very coordinated, see if you can do lessons on the grass. That's my advice.
That's very, very good advice. And on that note, down your coffee. Go on,
okay.
quick,
I got to go now.
Got to go.
Bye.
She's got to go.
Bye.
All right. Goodbye.